Hi, I'm John Laster with Laster Growth, and I'm an executive coaching, and I connect brain science to leadership. Today, I'm going to be going over the 6 mindset shifts with Ali Abdaal. My production team wants me to respond fresh, so I've never seen this. So we're going to listen to some ideas, and then we're going to talk about it. Let's do it.
So I'm going to simplify the neuroscience because I realize a lot of listeners are not neuroscientists. We looked at the top part of your head, the dorsolateral prefrontal cortex, seem to be leading on this, and this we know is where executive functioning takes place. So in essence, if you put your oxygen supply in that part of your brain, you're going to think and work in a certain way.
Yep.
You'll look for facts, logic, but there's more to it that hit me. That part of the brain works with acceptance and starts saying it is what it is. That part of the brain looks for solutions. As opposed to when I started moving the patient by asking emotive questions, so things that would make them upset or more emotional. If you look at functional scanners, what will happen, they'll go to the orbitofrontal cortex, just above your eyes, and now they start acting in a very strange way. They wouldn't work with facts at all. In fact, they'd have great difficulty accepting them.
That goes right along with the idea I teach about teeter-totters and different binaries in the brain. The thinking brain and the emotional brain are very, very important to navigating your life, your business, relationships, parenting, you name it. It touches everything. And I love how he started with the 1990s. I often talk about the importance of what we really learned in the 1990s, because it was then when we were first able to look at a brain that was not dead. It was the first time we were able to do that. And we learned that the brain is actually plastic. And so along with this idea of teeter-totters, we learned that the brain is changeable and that we're primarily focusing in a survival brain, which is like our emotional side of our brain. So the operating system is keep us safe. And the other side of our brain is the thinking brain, where we're making decisions, we're inhibiting ourselves to do or not do certain things. So we have 2 different kind of sides of our brain that we're using for all of life. And this changes the game as you're building any endeavor, whether it be relational, leadership, staying focused. It touches everything. So I love what he's saying about the 90s and the fMRI machine. And so hit it again. Yeah. Let's move it forward. It says YouTube Premium with no ads. It just popped up. I think it's watching us. I can't send it on paper.
Often when we're really stuck with a thought and it's causing us a lot of distress, it's because we genuinely buy into it. And so, once you get to the point of therapy and you ask someone, is that thought true? They will say yes. And they do believe in it. And that's why they're in such pain. And so sometimes it's not enough. And that's when you can go into the sort of challenging that thought. So looking at the evidence. So
double checking our initial responses to things. Number 1, we need to make space before we respond. Okay. So when we have a feeling about something, or we have kind of an automatic reaction, we need to make space and think through that and test that and see if that's real. And so we talk about this a lot. Your brain only has the ability to really work its thinking brain well, or your emotional brain at the same time. So we talk about a limited amount of resources. And so when you're starting to feel, normally you're feeling emotional when you get a strong feeling about something and you start to express it emotionally. The process of testing it and saying, is that true? Is that really true? What if it wasn't true? That process yanks the resources back into your thinking brain. So number 1, it calms your emotions. But number 2, we do have to try on new ideas. And so just saying, what if their opposite were true? How could I creatively come up with a way to believe that the opposite thing that I think is actually true? And then you get your imagination going, partially because you're calm. Your creative imagination's not working well when you're emotional and in fight or flight. So once you calm down, you can be creative and you're going, well, technically, if I had way more money in this example, because I grew a big business, then I would be able to hire out some more things done and I'd be able to get more help and more hands on the deck. So maybe it wouldn't stress me out more. And I guess technically, if I had this much success, I could have someone else market for me. So there's a lot of ways in which if you're creative and you're calm and you pull the resources back, you've got to test all of your presuppositions. There's so much more in the world from a standpoint of perspective that we're missing. And we have to slow down and get creative to realize the limitation of our scope. So that's what this makes me think of. I like that a lot.
Everyone on the planet has a personal success system. They just might not know exactly what it is. And some friends who pop to mind are, there's a friend called Shona who has a business called Perfect English Grammar, and her personal success system is going to events. Because what she finds is that every single time she goes to an event, she'll meet someone, she'll get an idea, something will happen. And in the 6 months after, her business doubles. And that's happened like 3 times now. So because she knows what it is, what her personal success system is, she can apply this going forward, and she can just go to bigger and better events, and she can she can kind of take the crux of this system and just keep applying it. And everyone's second favorite billionaire, Jeff Bezos, has a very similar thing where he will think of an idea, he will write a 1-page press release about it, he will see how that goes down with a very small group of people, and then he'll just build it. And then he knows that a few of them are going to take off, some of them aren't. Amazon's got like 157 businesses that it started that didn't go anywhere. Like, you remember the dash buttons and the and the Fire phone and like random stuff. And it's like, yeah, we'll give it a go. Might work, might not. That's like his success system is coming up with the idea, writing the press release, releasing it, and seeing what happens. And I realized that I had one too.
This makes me think of two things. My friends and I often talk about do the thing that makes you want to do the thing. Find a way to stir your affections for what it is you want to accomplish. We all have different things that get us fired up. Music, listening to certain podcasts or certain authors, reading certain books. It gets my blood flowing, so to speak. And then it becomes easy for me to dive in deeper and deeper. Mine is listen to the few people that I really love that really motivate me. Then I hear a nugget. I call it a golden nugget. Something that I really like, a piece of content, a concept that's profound to me. And then I do a voice recording of that because I like talking it out, because you don't know what you think until you can say it out loud, right? I try to say it out loud. I'll do 2 or 3 different versions of that until I like the way I've re-described the point. And then I'll call people that love hearing about things like this that I'm close with. I have a concept. I want to talk to you about it. And then that'll go into a whole bunch of fun conversation where we're both applying this idea and then connecting it to other ideas that we've talked about in the past. All this is deepening this in my brain. It's essentially wiring this. It's helping me remember this. It's helping me apply this all in one. That's my success system. That then effortlessly goes into creating content, helping to use that in coaching or executive development.
Is how AG1 works to deliver foundational nutrition.
This is the last one, but AG1's wonderful. Huberman uses it. And
You need me to log in.
what you mean is?
I have YouTube Premium.
Me too, because I'm not a cheapskate.
Yeah, I'm not a cheapskate.
So how do you log in? Up here, John.
Don't move the
Sign
computer.
I'm not giving you my
sign out.
your
That's
curated
fine.
YouTube.
Oh yeah. I definitely will log back out. I don't, he's got way too much.
I've got way too much what, dude?
You've got way too much opera music on your YouTube. My wife had to shut off the. It's $2.99 a month. I just want you to know how we feel about subscriptions in this house. Here we go.
I guess in your world, the world of elite high performance, what are some strategies that you and your team have found helpful for dealing with setbacks?
Yeah, it's hugely important, particularly in today's world. You need to understand we don't live in a perfect world. There's going to be disappointments. There's going to be setbacks. You're not going to achieve every single goal you set out to achieve, but having the right tools to deal with those situations.
I'm stopping right there because the tools are a mindset. Dealing with adversity, setback. I love this topic. A couple of things I think about are the difference between a buffalo and a cow. And this is interesting. When a storm over, let's say a glade where there's a bunch of cows, if a storm's coming in, then the cows run away from the storm. And if you think about it, if they run the same direction as the storm, they actually put themselves in the storm for the maximum amount of time. If they had just stayed still, the storm would pass over them faster than if they ran away from it. But buffaloes are different. They actually run into the storm. And so they pass under the storm for the least possible amount of time because they go directly into the challenge. Now, this is also true in the brain. If you aim up, no matter what your situation is, you get more resources from your brain. This is just true. When you have the best possible outcome in view, in your vision, when you're optimistic, when you're calm, all of these things bring more resources, more creativity, more discipline, more focus. All of the things that make you get through the challenge better happen when you aim up. And in many ways, we are teleological creatures, which is a fancy word for goal-oriented. We need to look at something that has value and we need to make progress toward that. That's bigger than our circumstances. That's bigger than the setback. That mindset that if there's a challenge in front of me, do my best, bring my best, learn from it, find the silver lining is the best tool you could possibly have in a set.
Charming and charismatic. I'm going to learn how to sit up straight. I'm going to learn how to use posture, use hands, tell stories, be exciting, get rid of my ums and ahs. I'm going to change all of these outside tips and tricks. And then when I have that, I'll be good at speaking. And then I'll be confident enough to speak up at my drinks. And it's kind of this outside-in approach. Problem here is not your inability to speak or your speaking ability. The problem here is you thinking you are a bad speaker. or you thinking that other people are judging you? And so therefore you protect yourself by not speaking, by staying quiet. And that is the problem.
The whole time I'm thinking, I love the idea that you would speak better if you were healthier, more confident on the inside versus the outside. But the way I would talk about this would be, how are you going to make the inside better? And I think you've got to reframe the goal. In sales, there's a thing they do that kind of almost trick themselves, because the most uncomfortable part about doing sales calls is hearing the word no. And so if you reframe it as, I'm going to get 10 people to tell me no, and then I'm going to take lunch, and then I'm going to get 10 more people to tell me no, and then I'm going to go home, you inevitably get to the yeses, no matter what your batting average is. If you really embody this, it helps, because your brain can get to a place where you're getting now dopamine for getting told no. And so the pain is subsiding and almost becoming pleasure because you've reframed what you're looking for. So the point is, you can reframe things in your head to be enjoyable versus painful based on how you frame them. And so when it comes to speaking among friends, what I would say is reframe the goal to talking with your friends as being totally genuine and totally authentic, even to the point of saying, I feel awkward right now sitting here having drinks because I don't really know if I know what to say, and I don't know if I'm charming enough, and I wish I was funny, but I don't know if I'm funny. And so I don't know if anybody else is thinking that, but man, this drink is good. Now you have just become the most real person in the room, and what you thought was bad is actually now endear the room. A, other people are thinking the same thing, and B, you get better and better at just being who you are, and you're the very best person on the planet at being you. Well, that was a lot of fun. That's actually the first time I've done a response video where I get to connect my content to the ideas right off the top of my head. So I'm going to continue doing content like this. I hope you enjoy it. If so, please like and subscribe. I'm going to connect the brain science to relationships at work or at home, and we're going to have a lot of fun. Thanks for watching.